3, 2, 1. In order to test this, I've taken my coaxial cable here and I've spliced it in half and I've cut the main cable in the middle here. So this is no longer connected. If I connect it now, I'll never connect to the internet because there's this big gap here. But I'm gonna connect these cables here with these alligator clips, and then I'll put one in each end of the water and see if the internet signal can actually go through the water. Okay, so let's plug in our other cable now, and I'm gonna connect the other end of it into my modem. Okay, so you can see my spliced cable here. So the first thing we need to do before we try this is to add salt to this water, because water in and of itself is not conductive, so we're not going to be able to transmit the radio frequency through it unless we make the water a little bit more conductive. So let's put some salt in it. Okay, we're ready to go. You can see on the modem here, the little world is not lit up. That means we're not connected to the internet. Let's see what happens when we put the cables in the water. Okay, transmitting the internet through water instead of cables. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's see if we connect. Let's watch our modem here. Come on. Oh, I think it's going. It's connected there. Let's see if the world starts lighting up. I think it is. Let's move these a little bit closer together. Okay, let's do a test. I think we're really connected to the internet. So it's going through the water. Okay, try it again. Are we connected? Oh, contacting the server. 0 megabits per second. Oh, it went 0.14 megabits per second. There it goes. It's getting it, 6 megabits per second now. It did it, look, 0.14 megabits per second and 3 megabits per second upload. So the internet does work. You can see me going to the Action Lab page here. So is it possible to actually transfer the internet through an entire ocean just by sticking 2 cables in the water at either end of the ocean? Well, most likely not, because over that many miles of ocean, you're going to degrade your signal so much that you'll basically be left with nothing. So even though nowadays most of us use the internet through our cellular plan or through the Wi-Fi in our house, that internet still has to get to our Wi-Fi router and has to get to the cell phone antennas through physical cable. And the physical cables themselves are actually what make up the internet. For example, to get Wi-Fi in my house, the last mile is usually transmitted through a coaxial cable, and it comes out of this little port here. And the coaxial cable that brings the internet to your house looks like this. So on the inside of it here, you have this wire, and on the outside you have this metal sheath. And the metal sheath in here provides insulation and it stops interference from other electromagnetic signals. So this one wire right here connects you to the entire internet. So all the information, everything you use, everything you download or upload goes through this little wire here. But what information is actually being transferred through this wire? Well, it's basically just a bunch of ones and zeros, meaning that there's a signal turning on and a signal turning off. But the transferring of ones and zeros through this cable, or the transferring of bits, is not just as simple as turning a voltage on and off in the cable, because you wouldn't be able to transfer much information that way. But a smarter way to do it is use a radio frequency. So these cables here actually transmit a radio frequency. So basically, it's just a frequency that goes through this wire here. It's an alternating current that moves the electrons back and forth really fast at a specific frequency. And you can alter the amplitude of that frequency, and when you do that, you can count it as a 1 or a 0. So basically, by sending a radio frequency through this wire here, you can get an output of transferring bits, or ones and zeros. And that's how the internet is transferred through this cable here. So normally what happens when I plug in a normal cable to the port here, and then I turn on my modem, I should see these specific lights here. And when you finally see this last light light up, then you know that you're connected to the internet. And then the internet signal is transferred through this cable here to my Wi-Fi router. And this will give me a wireless signal throughout my whole house. Now if I run my speed test here, can see that I'm getting around 23 megabits per second and around 7 megabits per second uploading. So this means that I can download around 23 million bits per second. That means 23 million ones and zeros.